Hello everyone, welcome to Chemazon Complete Chemistry. So in our today's video, we are going to learn a very important topic, that is elements of symmetry or symmetry elements. This topic is going to be useful to us not only in organic chemistry but also in inorganic and physical chemistry. So where do we use symmetry elements or elements of symmetry in organic chemistry? So in stereochemistry itself, the elements of symmetry, as we had already seen, are very much important in determining whether a particular organic molecule is chiral or achiral. In organic chemistry, we will be studying in a different chapter called as Graoup Theory, which is a part of quantum mechanics. There we will be using this concept of elements of symmetry or symmetry elements. So let us first now understand what do we mean by symmetry, and then we will see what are the different elements of symmetry. First, let us understand this concept of symmetry in day-to-day objects or normal objects that we find in and around us, and then we will see this in chemistry. So here you can see different pictures like butterfly, tiger, this shapes, or this lady finger, or an orange or strawberry, or for that matter this spider. So in all these objects you can see they are very much symmetrical. What do we mean by symmetrical? You can either cut them into two equal halves by either passing a line or a plane or just by passing an axis, and if you rotate you will find that all these objects are very much symmetrical. So these are some of the examples of symmetrical, where we find that one half of the picture is exactly the same as that of the other half. Such type of figures are called as symmetric figures. So in this second slide you can see there are a couple of pictures which are very much asymmetrical. What do we mean by asymmetrical? That if you try to cut that picture into any plane or any axis into halves, you will find that it is not possible that they are very much symmetrical. So such objects are called as asymmetrical, where we cannot pass any axis or plane through that particular picture. So let us now understand what are the different elements of symmetry present. The first one is called as a whole of space. The name of the symmetry element is a whole of space, or the symmetry operation is called as identity. It is denoted by symbol capital E. We will study in the further slide what do we mean by all these elements of symmetry. The second one is called as axis of symmetry, or also called as n-fold symmetry axis, which is denoted by Cn, where we do rotation depending on the structure of the molecule, that is 360 by n. What does n stands here? N stands for n-fold. N-fold, fold means times. How many times you rotate a particular molecule by passing an axis to get the same molecule as the previous one. This is called as axis of symmetry. Then we have mirror plane denoted by sigma. Again in plane we have two types, that is sigma h and sigma v. That is sigma h stands for horizontal plane and sigma v stands for vertical plane. Then we have center of inversion. It is denoted by small I. And last we have n-fold axis of improper rotation, and it is denoted by Sn. What do we mean by improper rotation? We will see. And this Sn axis is also called as rotation reflection axis. It is also called as improper axis of rotation. So now let us understand each one of this in much detail. So first one is the identity operator, that is denoted by I, also called as the element of symmetry I. What does this mean? All objects can be operated upon an identity operator E. This is the simplest operator and effectively identifies the molecular configuration. What do we mean by this linear operator? You take any molecule and you pass an axis through that molecule, and you rotate that molecule in 360 degree in space. What will happen if you rotate any molecule by 360 degree? It remains the same. So the operator E, that is this identity operator, leaves the molecule unchanged. Now this is the second element of symmetry, that is rotation about n-fold axis of symmetry. This is also called as Cn. It is denoted by Cn. Let us see what do we mean by this n-fold axis of symmetry. The symmetry operation of rotation about an n-fold axis is denoted by a symbol Cn, in which the angle of rotation is 360 by n, where n is the integer, example 2, 3 or 4. Now what does this mean? Any molecule, when you pass an axis and you rotate, n stands for the number of times that you rotate a particular molecule to get the configuration or the same molecule as it was in the previous molecule. Let us understand this by an example. Here you can see an example of a C3 axis. What do we mean by this? Here in the first picture you can see this is an ammonia molecule. This is a nitrogen and the 3 hydrogens attached to it. You pass this axis through the nitrogen and you do a 120 degree rotation. You can see that I've labeled 3 hydrogens as 1, 2 and 3. Now when you do 120 rotation, first 120 rotation, it would look something like this. When you do one more 120 rotation, it would look something like this. And final one more 120 rotation, you will find that you get this final molecule. Now you can see after doing 3 120 degree rotations, this fourth structure is exactly the same as that of the first one. That is, you can see the position of hydrogen 1, 2 and 3 is same in both these molecules. That is, this fourth structure is called as indistinguishable molecule from the first one. What do we mean by indistinguishable? Indistinguishable means which cannot be distinguished or differentiated, means they are same. So we did 3 120 degree rotations across an axis, that is C, and n we did 3 rotation, that's why it is written as C3 axis of rotation. So this is how in an ammonia molecule you have a C3 axis of symmetry. Now another element of symmetry is reflection through a plane of symmetry. It is also called as mirror plane. What do we mean by this? If the reflection of all parts of molecule through a plane produces an indistinguishable configuration, the plane is called a plane of symmetry. The symmetry operation is one of a reflection, and the symmetry element is the mirror plane, and it is denoted by sigma. What do we mean by this? So this element of symmetry is called as plane of symmetry, and it is denoted by sigma. So what do we mean by a plane of symmetry? This is very important element of symmetry, especially in case of stereochemistry, where there will be many molecules where there will be a plane of symmetry passing through the molecule and will make that molecule achiral or optically inactive. What do we mean by plane of symmetry? You take any molecule for example and you pass a plane through that molecule, and after passing a plane through that molecule, if you see that the two halves on either side of the plane are same, then you call that particular plane as plane of symmetry. We will see in further slides that the plane of symmetry is of two types, that is horizontal planes and vertical planes. Horizontal planes are denoted by sigma h and vertical planes are denoted by sigma v. So let us understand this concept of plane of symmetry by this water molecule. Here this red atom you can see is the oxygen and the white ones are hydrogen. You can see that the three axes, that is x, y and z, you can see that we can have two planes of symmetry, that is two vertical planes of symmetry, that is sigma v dash and sigma v. Sigma v dash in yz plane and sigma v in xz plane. And also you can see there is a C2 axis of symmetry. Now let us one by one understand what do we mean by this. You can see, for example, this plane, that is sigma v dash, is passing through this molecule of water and it is bisecting or cutting all these 3 atoms, that is 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen, into 2 equal halves. It is very similar. You can imagine this, all these 3 atoms as tennis ball or cricket ball, and you cut into 2 equal halves by this plane, and you will find that the 2 halves on either side are mirror images of each other. That's why it is called as a mirror plane. Similarly, there is this sigma V plane, which is only cutting the oxygen atom. So there are 2 sigma V planes and there is one C2 axis. What do we mean by this C2 axis? You pass this axis, you do one 180-degree rotation and then one more 180-degree rotation, and then you will get the same molecule. So let us understand one more element of symmetry, that is called as reflection through a center of symmetry or inversion center. So this element of symmetry is denoted by letter small I. What do we mean by this? If reflection of all parts of molecule through the center of the molecule produces an indistinguishable configuration, the center is center of symmetry, and it is also called as center of inversion. So let us understand what do we mean by this element of symmetry with the help of example. Consider any point at this first molecule. Let's say it is carbon dioxide. This is carbon and 2 red atoms are oxygen atoms. Consider a point over here at the center of this carbon, and if you move on the right hand side of this carbon dioxide molecule, you will find that this portion is exactly the mirror image or reflection of this one. So the point at the center of this carbon, you can call that as center of symmetry or inversion center. So in one molecule, all the one part of molecule should be a reflection of the other. Similarly, you can see in this sulfur hexafluoride, if you see this portion is a mirror image of this portion, and if you move here, this portion is a mirror image of this one, and then this one is the mirror image of this one. So this center is called as the inversion center. Similar is the case with benzene and hydrogen sulphide. Benzene, where will be the inversion center? Somewhere here at the middle of the benzene ring. Okay, and similarly hydrogen sulphide, here will be the inversion center. Now this is our last element of symmetry, that is rotation about an axis followed by a reflection through a plane perpendicular to the axis. What do we mean by this? If the rotation through 360 by n about an axis followed by reflection through a plane perpendicular to that axis yields an indistinguishable configuration, then that axis is an n-fold rotation reflection axis, also known as n-fold improper rotation axis. It is denoted by Sn. So what do we mean by this element of symmetry? The first step is to do a rotation. As we did in the normal axis of symmetry. Then second thing what we have to do is we have to reflect that molecule in a plane perpendicular to the axis. Okay, and then if you get the indistinguishable configuration, then that axis will be called as rotation reflection axis. Why rotation reflection axis? Because first we did rotation and then we do reflection. It is also called as improper rotation axis because it is not the complete axis of rotation. First we did rotation and then we do reflection, and it is denoted by Sn, where n stands for this 360 by n that we saw in axis of symmetry, normal axis of symmetry, that is Cn. So let us understand this by an example. Here is this molecule of methane, CH4, where this is a carbon attached to 4 hydrogens. This I first pass an axis through this carbon and we do a 90-degree rotation. 90-degree rotation means what will happen? I rotate this molecule 90 degree in this axis. What will happen is that these two atoms will be rotated 90 degree like this, and these two atoms accordingly will be looking like this. And then what we do, we reflect this molecule across a plane perpendicular to this axis. This axis is vertical, so we have to pass a plane, a mirror plane, perpendicular to the axis, as you can see here, and we do the reflection. What will happen when we do the reflection? This portion will be seen above and this portion will be seen below, as you can see in this molecule. So now you can see that this first one and the second and the third molecule, both these are indistinguishable in configuration or the same molecules. That's why this is called as S, or rotation inversion axis. And why 2? Because we did two changes. First we rotated by 90, then we did one reflection. So this is the rotation inversion axis in methane. So here we come to the end of today's video. So in the coming video we are going to learn the application of this element of symmetry. How do we use this element of symmetry in organic molecules to find out whether it is chiral or achiral, with lot of different examples of